I'm Sergeant Steve Rudloff with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit. Today, just after noon, patrol officers with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office responded to 14,011 Hollings Street in reference to a welfare check. The complainant on the call advised our JSO dispatch that a co-worker did not show up today for work. They could not reach her by phone, and this was extremely out of character for this individual. Patrol officers arrived at the residence. They knocked on the front door. They did not obtain any response. As they started walking around the house looking through the windows, they observed two bodies laying on the floor inside the residence. At this time, the officers made entry into the house, and they found an unidentified white female and an unidentified white male, both shot inside the residence. Jacksonville Fire Rescue responded to the scene and pronounced both these individuals deceased. At this time, it's under an active investigation. We are not currently looking for any suspects at this point. However, we do request that if anybody has information in reference to this case, to please contact the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office at 630-0500 and/or Crime Stoppers.
Is this looking like a murder or suicide?
At this point, it is under active investigation. It's too early to call it for that, but we do have the medical examiner inside the residence right now with the detectives, and they are going through evidence. So until we can completely determine that, it's hard to say exactly.
Was a weapon found inside the house?
There is at least one weapon found inside the house.
Were there any animals in the house? I saw the animal control was out here with two of their vans, the rescue vans.
There were two dogs that were running loose in the yard. They were taken into protective custody by Animal Care and Control for safety reasons, and there were some pets inside the house.
One of the neighbors tells me that this street is very active when it comes to drug activity and prostitution. Is there anything leading you guys to believe that that may have played a role in whatever happened inside this house?
Not at this moment. It's too early to say, but we have no indication that that played a role into this actual event.
Do you have an age range of the individuals that were shot?
40 to 50.
And one male and one female?
One male, one female.
And you said that when you guys arrived, they looked through the window and they could easily see them from the window?
They knocked on the door first originally. There was no response at the door, so for safety precaution, they did walk around the residence looking inside the residence itself through the windows, and that's when they observed the two bodies.
So, at the beginning you said that JSO was called by a coworker who said that she missed work.
There was
Do you think it was this coworker who missed work that they found?
That is, again, we have not been able to determine the identity of either one of the individuals. They were both just inside the house, so until we can get identity on both of them, it's hard to say. But we were led to this residence due to the fact that a coworker did not show up for work and it was out of character.
And you say they're not looking for any suspects?
At this point, due to the initial evidence that we're looking at, we're not currently out looking for any type of suspect.
The reason why I asked is because I know when I spoke with another neighbor, he said that yesterday he noticed that there were crews working on the roof. So I was just wondering if you guys had been in contact with any of the construction crews that were working out there yesterday.
The house is under construction for a new roof, and I believe they did start the job yesterday. We do not know the status of that. We do know that a lot of their equipment is here, and we will be reaching out to that company.
Did any of the neighbors hear a gunshot because I saw you guys going door to door talking. Did any of them hear anything or notice anything suspicious within the last 48 hours?
Not at this moment. Everyone that we spoke to, no one heard anything or gave any indication for any shooting.
Which one of these houses is this?
It's going to be the house behind me to my left, which would be your right. Yes. Any other questions?
You can spell your name.
Yeah, it's Rudlaff.
And your first name?
Steve.
Steve.
Yes. All right.
Is the house unlocked when you guys arrived?
No, there was forced entry made. Once they observed the bodies on the floor for their safety reasons, they made forced entry to get to the two people.
But it was locked prior to the forced entry?
Yes, they tried. They obviously initially tried to open it with their hand, and when they couldn't, they forced open the door.
I'm not sure if you already said this, but are we allowed to have an exact address of the house?
It's 14,011 Hollings Street.